Welcome everybody to the Freedom to Speak Easy podcast, where there is no prohibition on the First Amendment. And today with me, as always, Mark Rizzoli. Mark, how you doing?
Great to be here. How you doing?
Not bad. Anthony Deameron here. And Mark, it's fun. We've been talking a lot. We've been hammering at schools, talking about education on the last few podcasts. And it seems like that's been the driving narrative in the state as you go around and read the current events and news on the area.
Yeah, it's not about education. It's been about trying to silence those who are standing up for children.
Right.
Here we go. We have another incident again. The Courier News. The Watchung board members cleared of charges. Apparently, charges were put forward against board president Emma Murad and the vice president Anthony Ingracia. Basically because they voted no for the radical curriculum. So now,
Whoa.
so now I guess it's
Whoa.
the new trending thing now is going to be, let's try to silence school board members when you don't go along with the radical curriculum. So the former president sends her mother
Right.
to file these complaints, these ethics complaints on the board members.
Wow.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
So take us through it. I know what story you're talking about, but they vote on the curriculum and regarding the health curriculum specifically.
Yeah, that's how obviously they've been trying to sneak it in, under the guise of health curriculum.
Right.
But we all know it's really the radical sex curriculum.
And as you and I we've been harping at it day in and day out about this, and on just about every podcast that we had, is that the radical sex curriculum this is how serious they are. It just amazes me that more people. I'm glad to see more people starting to pick up on this, because it's insane that this is going on all over the schools.
And Amber to bring awareness to the people watching. She went on the Bill Spadia show. And the complaint actually made reference, saying to some derogatory stuff about Bill Spadia in the complaint. So clearly, it's all about. So if the members of the board now don't agree with this radical curriculum, it doesn't go with their political ideology now. Now we got to the point now where what's our show all about? That's what this show's all about,
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
Freedom to speak.
It's
no prohibition on free speech. Here we have this trying to suppress board members' free speech and the ability to make decisions based upon data,
right?
Not about politics and political ideology. That's what's bothering the radical left right now,
right? And you bring up a good point. The radical left, the school boards are nonpartisan. They're supposed to be nonpartisan for a reason. And it seems to me that a lot of these districts, not every, but a lot of them, too many, are pushed by the left and one party.
Well, they want to say it's not political when it's convenient for the opposition, right? They'll run to that all the time. It's not supposed to be political. Anything but.
Yeah.
Anything but. Anyone affiliated with Phil Murphy, the NJEA, Sean Spiller, the president.
Right.
It's all about politics. They're using the school districts to further the narrative.
Right.
And now it's gotten to the point where we're gonna make false complaints against board members who are actually doing the right thing.
Right.
Making decisions based on fact. Well, here's my question, everybody out there who tries to say about the sex curriculum. Produce the evidence that shows this has some educational value to it.
Right.
How drag queens speaking to children. What's the educational value to that? What's the value of having boys dressed as girls going in the girls' room, going into the girls' locker room, playing in female sports? Please produce the evidence that substantiates this, because you can't.
I always say this, future generations from now, Mark, are going to look back and say, what the hell were you guys doing? And then who was fighting to stick up for these kids?
Right.
And nobody, it's very few. I mean, there's some pushback, but then you get some good board members who try to do the right thing, who are protecting the child and the student, and you get stuff like this. I mean, basically, it's just, let's throw it at the wall. Let's throw it at the wall and see if it sticks. That's really what it is.
This really illustrates the fact that there's no priority about catching children up that are behind because of the mandatory lockdowns. I mean, it tells you what you need to know, where the priorities are right now. It's all about politics.
There's priorities are all backwards. You have kids that are socially, I don't know which word you want to use, but awkward or social. The lack of social skills are clearly present. You just had an incident in Perth Amboy, Mark.
Yeah. Well, here's a perfect example. That's a form of bullying, right? Let's bully board members.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we had an incident in Perth Amboy where a 6th grader stabbed a 5th grader after school.
Right.
So, and then he
was carrying a kitchen knife with him.
Yeah. Now you bring it. Well, it just goes to show, like we talked previously, kids feel they're not going to be held accountable
Right.
for
That's the thing.
assaulting people, bringing weapons to school.
That's the thing. There is no discipline.
There's no accountability.
There is no accountability. And this poor kid now is going to. From what last time I checked, he was going to be in the hospital for a while. Now, what happens to the 11-year-old? I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. But clearly, for an 11-year-old, for that to be that young, Perth Amboy has a history. As you read now, you see these parents starting to speak out. They're saying this has got to stop. The bullying is it's almost overtaking the school. I mean, it's that bad.
Not just the bullying, it's the crime.
You
bring a weapon to school, that's a crime.
That's a crime, yeah.
That's the problem right now.
Absolutely.
We have too many school districts. Apparently, I didn't see the memo where they're instructing people, let's cover it up. Let's not notify law enforcement. Let's keep it in-house. This way no one really knows. And Perth Amboy, they get a lot of aid from the state.
Yes, they do.
And they're an underperforming school
Big
district.
time subsidies. And
and then there's allegations being made now that the teachers union encourages the high school kids to walk out in protest of the stabbing.
That is the teachers union, you're saying.
When in fact, I would say the NJEA, Phil Murphy and his allies are the reason why the New Jersey schools are in such a mess.
Well, here you have a classic case of, I believe the two children were Spanish, if I'm not mistaken, and you have when it doesn't fit their narrative, and you talk about the radical left, when it doesn't fit their narrative, the boxes are not crossed off, you ignore it. They're ignored. Where's Phil Murphy? I mean, if this was somewhere else, and if it was our kids, it would be you know what I mean? It's insane.
Phil Murphy's all about identity politics.
It is.
New Jersey Democrats all about identity politics. The Middlesex County Democratic Organization's all about identity politics.
I
mean, where's the Craig Coughlin? This is his district, the speaker, assembly speaker. Where the hell is he?
Craig Coughlin.
Where the hell is he?
We got.
I'll tell you where he's at. He's probably driving around one of the new 6 SUVs that Phil Murphy bought with the CARES money, the COVID money. Instead of using it. You want to use it for something? How about improving school security? How about safety first?
You're taking away from my last call, but it's funny you bring that up. The amount of money the fraud that's in the CARES money. The CARES money is if people don't know, is the 9/11, the COVID money that a lot of these municipalities received.
Yeah,
and as a matter of fact, the teachers union, specifically the NJEA, they received the money that it was meant to. It's used now for promotional period, for promotion stuff, and they haven't spent the money yet. They haven't spent it, and they're asking, then give the money back.
Well, because let's face it, they want it spent on their raises.
Absolutely, that's what they promotion stuff like that.
Let's be realistic.
So it's incredible that there's money. The amount of fraud that's in the CARES is incredible. I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to get into particulars, but trust me when I tell you, there's a lot of smoke. There's a lot of smoke.
The NJEA is no longer a union; they're a political action committee. They don't advocate for children anymore. They're using the union dues just to finance their evil politics. They're advocating for Sean Spiller to advance his political career. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. And you know what you have we talk about it. You always say every time we end the show, elections matter. Elections matter. Voting matters. You have to vote. I think part of the reason why you say that is voting now is almost like it feels like a year-long process, but it starts early on. When is voting? You can basically start voting in September.
Well, you have, I make fun of it. I call it, you have vote by mail, early voting. It's election month now.
It's election month.
Some more election day. I mean, that's what Phil Murphy's made a total mockery of our electoral system here.
So you have you got to think about this. If you want to run for the school board, and for those parents that want to rise up and run for these school boards, start looking into that process. Reach out to Mark or I, and we will help you along the way. We will guide you in the right spot where to go, and how to go through that process. Each district is different, but that starts today, and that's how you can push back. We talk about it all the time. I mean, there's only so much you can do. Go to meetings and stuff like that, but sometimes you just need to run.
Listen, I hope Amber. She can wear this as a badge of honor because
absolutely.
She did the right thing. She voted for the best of the children.
Absolutely.
Right? Then she becomes a target of the left.
It's
this is their way of bullying, right?
She's the board president, correct?
Yeah, she's the board president.
Correct, yeah.
And the former board president, apparently the complaint is her mother.
Yes.
Who signed the complaints.
It's
just ridiculous. But it's once again, it's all about creating the politically correct environment in these schools as opposed to this safe environment to be properly educated.
You have like in Perth Amboy and even in Watchung, you have identity you have it all kind of identity, everything's at play. You could see it all at play here, whether there's a lack of attention, there's a lack of when you have a lack of elected officials that don't respond to certain things that are clearly a big time news. Okay, it just makes you wonder. What do they stand for? What do these people stand for? They stand for power, as we all know. All right, and they still indoctrinating our young kids with this help. You don't need help. There's sex in math class. I don't get that. What do you need sex in math class for?
Or any other class they're trying to sneak
Any
in.
other class.
I mean, parents out there, you're gonna have to keep an eye on the curriculum now because
absolutely
they're trying to insert it into all different classes.
Those curriculum meetings at the Board of Education, depending on your district, they're pretty boring. They go over all the stuff, but it's worth going there because you'll see in the curriculum sometimes they'll slip in stuff. You can't pick up on everything, and you'll be shocked at what's in there in some districts. So, it's incredible. But stay on it, parents, and I encourage people to run for school board. I really, really do.
And just for clarification,
yes.
I was able to check. Amber herself is a mom. She
right.
has young children, so this is perfect example. A concerned parent running for the school board,
right?
Getting on there, doing the right thing by the children.
Right.
She is a mom,
right?
So. This is what you want. She's exactly who you want on the school
absolutely
board.
You don't have to agree with everything that she decides on.
Oh, well, that's a great.
Yeah.
That's the greatest thing about this country. You can disagree, but unfortunately now, if you disagree with the left, they go on this cancel culture jihad against you.
They really do, and they threaten everyday parents, hardworking people.
Well, the unions direct
they're bullies.
Radicals. Yeah,
they're bullies. The NJEA is the and Murphy are the two biggest bullies in the state.
Absolutely, Sean Spiller and Phil Murphy, they're the bullies in New Jersey.
Absolutely. So, but well, Mark, we're going to be touching more on this going forward regarding school and everything else regarding education because it just doesn't end. And if you don't stay on top of this stuff, or we don't stay on top of it, it's listen, sometimes it is inevitable, but
no one's talking about it.
Nobody's talking about it. Nobody is.
There doesn't seem to be any type of media outlet in New Jersey that has the guts to cover it.
Right.
It's all about fluff, and let's kiss Phil Murphy's ass, the scumbag in New Jersey.
It's pretty obvious that the student and the young generation here are clearly. They're sent so many mixed signals. There's just, and that's why they're confused. They're confused because they're getting it at one place that's saying it's okay. Then they go home and they get a dose of reality, and then it's like, what the hell? Well, you know what? They shouldn't be teaching stuff at all, man. Certain stuff. So I really hope parents rise up.
Well, you know what?
Here.
It might be time, to get to address the fact that all these children who are under stress of being behind, people are gonna have to come to grips with the truth instead of there's been no discussion about how we're gonna catch these children up. What are we prioritizing? We're prioritizing political ideology before education.
Absolutely.
And terrible.
And I'm going to address that in the last call as well. One other thing. So, but that's what we have here, folks, is right at the end of the podcast, right before the end, we do what we call the last call. And we both get, Mark and I, 1 minute, up to 1 minute to talk about any topic we'd be pleased. Mark, what say you?
Yeah, listen, I want to address the fact again, once again, the student forgiveness is back in the news again. It's being heard before the Supreme Court. Listen, everybody out there, you need to understand, this is the Democrats' way of trying to use taxpayer money to buy votes, okay? Whatever happened to promoting hard work, the American way, hard work, the merit system. Go out there, get a job, pay back your loans. We see it here in New Jersey, Phil Murphy incentivizing illegal immigration by giving free tuition to people in this country illegally at Rutgers. How about the American citizen? How about our children? They call everybody dreamers. Well, don't the American citizens' children have a right to dream? Dream about, furthering their education upon graduating college, following the American dream of wealth? When did we get kicked to the curb? It's amazing to me. Every time you turn around, they're using taxpayer dollars to incentivize, these illegal immigration, whether it's the free tuition or it's free aid to them, any way possible. So, it's time we get back to, let's use our money on Americans. I got to find out from a kid, you think maybe I can put the Ukraine as a dependent?
Well,
I mean, really, how much money are we going to be pumping in there?
Well, listen, listen, you hit it right on the nail. I don't even need to add anything on that one. I hit it on the nail. What about my only thing I would say is, what about all the people that graduated college or went to college years before? They're not good enough.
Right.
They don't get any.
Right.
So
see, basically what you want to do now is, let's not only purchase votes with taxpayer dollars. Now let's create a generation of people who become so dependent on government. That's what it's all about.
Right.
So that they'll constantly vote for us.
Well, it brings me. It kind of goes into a little bit what I'm about to say, and it's two things. Number one is the CARES money, as I talked before we touched on it. The CARES money. Be very careful. Look, the CARES money is now looks like being used to even for reparations. They're going to be giving out. It is everything but regarding the COVID-19 situation and health scare. I really hope that people look into this, find out every municipality got money. Okay, they all did. We just talked about the NJEA. They're sitting on a boatload of money as well. Okay, the
school districts.
The school districts, so the actual school districts.
Yeah.
Yes, all the school districts. The other thing I wanted to let people know is if your child is not doing well and you feel like they are suffering, they have clearly are facing all the signs of not being in school for the last year and a half or over 2 years ago, leave your child behind. The No Child Left Behind Act was a disaster. All right, if your child is not good, you're only going to hurt the child in the long run. And I'll tell you why. My mother's, God rest her soul, her one regret was that I should have stayed back in the first grade. She took me out of private school, went to public school, and she was 100% right. It would have done me so, and I was young for my grade anyway, so I should have done that. Don't worry. If you feel yourself that the child, fight for your child. Be an advocate. Let your child stay back and do it one more year. It's one more year, but I think in the long run it will benefit. So something to look into. But Mark, that's all I got today.
Yeah, don't forget. Vote by mail, vote early. You got to vote. Overwhelm the fraud.
Absolutely, guys. And check out our website, freedomtospeakeasy.com. And
don't forget, send us videos. If you have videos of any violence in the schools, please forward them to us.
Forward them over to us or email us. Reach out to us. Message us. We are on a ton of platforms. Check out our Facebook page. Like our YouTube page as well, please. Really go and subscribe. We're growing this. We're big numbers already. We as we looked at recently for the last 2 weeks. So we're growing. We thank everybody, and we'll talk to you next time, guys. Take care.
1, 2, 3 to the groove, come dance with me. Swing out, jive in. Come on, honey, show me how you move it. Swing out, jive in. 1, 2, 3 to the groove, come and dance with me. Swing out, jive in. The party